Hello everybody.
Hello everybody.
Well, we've come back to you again today. We've had a lovely day. I've been with my husband all day today. We've been out, he took me out for lunch and we had a little wander around and it's really lovely. We bought a fantastic really little old pot from Judea, and it was an oil lamp, tiny little oil lamp. Yeah. It's beautiful, really old.
2,000 years old.
2,000 years old.
But it actually is labelled as being around the time of Christ. So
lovely. So
it's beautiful.
We've now got that, and we're going to get a little cabinet. And we're going to put some old relics that we find and put them in there.
Yeah.
So that's the start of what it will be a new collection of bits.
Yeah, absolutely.
When we can and if we can. So
you put me in now. I'm a relic.
You're not a relic.
Oh,
you're not. I love you. Yes, well, we came home and our children came home from school, and we weren't around when they came home. Our eldest son was here as well, and I came into the home and to be confronted with balloons everywhere, 100 balloons everywhere.
100.
And a cake with candles.
Because it's your birthday!
Yeah, birthday! I don't look bad for a 1-year-old, do I? It's my first birthday. In 35 years. It's my first birthday. Happy birthday to me. Now, all those years of not celebrating birthdays, because we were told you're not allowed to celebrate birthdays, never quite got that one. Always kind of thought, well, yeah, I'll just go along with the rest and think, yes, okay. But anyway, I've had a lovely day today. Well, it being my birthday, I've been saying a while now that I was going to do a video. A lot of people have asked me to do a video about my family with regards to my mum, and it struck me that's who I've been thinking about today. So what a perfect opportunity to explain to you a little bit more about that side of my family and what's going on with them at the moment. So I'm going to lead on to that now. Where do I start? Well, I got born. And
you're definitely here.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely here. What I will say, I will take you back, I think, to the first time that Mark and myself were together in my family. We'd only been together a matter of a couple of months or so, and my mum was diagnosed with breast cancer. And totally out the blue, she wasn't ill, she's never been ill, but they found a lump and they decided to obviously investigate more, and it turned out that she had a malignant growth, so they decided to operate and remove it. Well, I took a year, I took off, I left work. Mark said to me straight away, leave work, this is important, you need to be with your mum, so do that. So I did, and I went up to the hospital with every appointment she had, constantly with her, looking after her, was by her side right the way through. Also, I was the one who cut her hair off. I was the one who shaved her head.
I remember that day. The
reason we did that was because we were told that she would lose her hair for the treatment she was going to receive. Most patients lose their hair. So she said she didn't want to be walking down the street one day, turn around and see the person behind wearing her hair. Which was just quite, we had a bit of a giggle about that, because the picture was amazing, because she had quite long hair at the time. So I cut her hair off for her and shaved her head clean, and went through the operation. She had 2 operations, one to remove the cancerous lump and another one to remove the lymph nodes. Now, I've already mentioned in a previous video that she has a sister, which is my auntie, and my grandmother, which is her mother. So there's 4 generations around at the moment of my family. So they weren't anywhere on the scene, nowhere to be seen, and I was quite baffled by that, really. They kept quite away. My mum, my auntie, actually had a go at my mum for she was on hormone replacement therapy at the time, and she was told by the doctor that because of the condition that my mum now had, she'd have to come off that. So she was a little bit knocked, but because it was working for her, so they had to find alternatives, but that's another story. Anyway, so we've gone through the operations. My brother came up to the hospital with one of the operations, sat outside with me and waited for Mum just to see if she was okay, went onto the ward, so he was there a little bit, but the rest of the family were nowhere to be seen. In fact, I don't remember seeing any of them at all through the whole period, because it went on for months. Then she was given the all clear, put on tablets. You don't totally get remission, you know, you go into remission, but you don't get the all clear till after 5 years. Well, that brings us on to present day. Everything's fine. We then gave our announcement last November with regards to we don't want this organisation anymore, these are the reasons why, which she didn't want to hear, but obviously since then we've had, she said, I won't cut you off. Well, I have been cut off, I don't have any contact. I tried very much so. I think in the other video I also mentioned that our little girl Charlotte had lost her grandmother on the other side, having gone through not wanting to know her ever. Mark's mum obviously is no longer with us. She died not long after we got together. And so really my mum's the only grandmother that my daughter's ever really known. So for her to not be around was and is quite hard, because she's always been there right from that she was in the room when she was born. So to suddenly have her not be around, it's quite hard for her, and she feels that she's not she's got other grandchildren now, hasn't she, Mummy? Meaning that there's a family that she's kind of adopted as her family, and she takes their daughter out quite a bit, and it's a little bit upsetting for our little girl to see that. So we have had to do a lot of comforting and everything else. So
it's a tough one for her.
Well, it is, because she's
very, very tough.
Yeah, but she's kind of, I don't want to use the word getting used to it, but that's all I can say really, because of the situations that I've explained about the other two. So it's difficult for her. So we're aware of that. Anyway, our daughter loves to horse ride. Doesn't get to do it very often, but we do try and take her when we can. And this particular day, I'd bought a course of horse riding lessons, like one a week, for about 6 weeks. And I'd mentioned this to my mum and said, look, Charlotte would like you to come. And so, because she'd rung to speak to Charlotte, lovely, oh, fantastic, really good news. So I passed the phone to Charlotte, and Charlotte was over the moon, and Charlotte put it on loudspeaker so I could hear what my mum was saying, and she said, I'd love to see you. I was thinking, yes, thank you. Fine, that's brilliant. And I said, why don't you invite Nana horse riding? So she said, I'd love to go, Nana, I'm going horse riding on Wednesday. Really excited in her voice. It was lovely to watch. I was so pleased how happy she seemed. And she said, Nana, would you like to come? And Nana said, well, who's taking you? And she said, Mummy. And she said, well, I tell you what, I won't promise anything because I'm rather busy. I'll let you know.
Huh.
Okay. That's okay. So Charlotte said, okay, Nana, I'll wait and hear from your call. I'll wait. Yep, didn't get a call, didn't even say anything. Weeks went past, and I mean weeks. To the point where we were at the end almost of her lessons. So anyway, I decide, haven't spoken to Mum in ages, and I thought Charlotte keeps on about when we're doing bedtime stories at night. She says, when am I going to see Nana again? I miss Nana. Can I go and see Nana? Can I go and see her? And I was saying, I said, absolutely, darling. What I'll do is I'll see how busy she is, and I'll see if she's able to see you, and we'll go from there. So I took the courage, and I actually rang my mum on a Monday, and this was back in March, because it was all around the same time as Mothering Sunday was coming up. And the reason I remember that is because it was quite ironic that it all happened around Mother's Day, you know, not something that the witnesses celebrate, but it just happened anyway. On that Monday, I gave them a phone call. I gave her a phone. She answered the phone, and I was really surprised, as I said. And she said, "Oh, I've been trying to get hold of you." And I said, "Oh, have you?" I said, "I haven't heard any messages." I said, "I haven't had any missed calls from you." Now we're self-employed and we work together all the time, and we've got a home office telephone that has an answer machine, so people leave messages all the time, and I always pick them up. You know, when I get home, I always go through the answer machine. So one of the first things I do is habit. My mobile also shows missed calls and obviously texting. Wonderful form of communication most people use. I personally don't like it. I'd rather speak to the person voice to voice, but that's just me. I'm quite old-fashioned like that. But it's a good way of getting hold of somebody. So anyway, that's what happened. So the phone, I say to her, well, I haven't had any missed calls, but she said, well, I need to speak to you. And I said, okay. She said, what are you doing at the moment? And I said, well, right now, today. And I said, and I'm looking at Mark, and he's sort of there, and I'm thinking I am busy, but I said, oh, not a lot. Looking at him going, can you do what you were going to do without me? And she said, can I come and see you? I said, oh yeah, lovely. I'll stick the kettle on. She said, I've got something to tell you. I'm thinking, oh, that doesn't sound very good. So I said, okay, you can come and see me. Could you want to come here and have a nice cup of tea? No, I want to meet on mutual ground.
Neutral ground.
Why is she calling it mutual ground? This is mutual ground.
Fascinating.
There's nothing wrong with her coming here.
Neutral ground.
So I said, okay. And she said, what about meeting at Grandma's? And I said, well, is she going to be happy with me going round there? I mean, that's not exactly neutral ground anyway, but that's not the point. You know, I'd love to go round to Grandma's and see her as well. And she said she probably won't be there, but I'll, meet you there. And I said, okay, well, about 4 o'clock? And I said, oh, okay, about an hour and a half from now.
Sorry, that was the dog, everybody.
Yeah. He's just had his dinner. Yeah. Apologies. Dirty boy. So anyway, well, I went round there, and she wasn't there yet, so I sat outside. Grandma wasn't in, so I thought, oh, everybody's out. So I sat and I waited, and then I see Mum coming around the corner, and she comes over to me, and she says, oh, do you want to go up and have a chat then? So I said, okay. And with that, Grandma's comes around the corner and points at me. Mum hasn't even asked her. I'm thinking, grief. Okay. Is it okay? Are you sure you don't mind me coming into your home? Evil thing that I am. So anyway, we went upstairs, and I sit down, and I'm thinking, brace yourself for anything. My mind was working overboard. And she said, I've got lung cancer. Wasn't expecting that one. Okay. I didn't cry. She did. But as I was before, very strong and kept by her, I just took the other level of, right, well, what do we need to do? Okay, what are they doing for you? Chemo, radiotherapy, is it the same as before? Where do we go from here? Not her, where do we go from here?
Based on previous history.
So she said, oh, well, I'm going up to the hospital tomorrow. And I said, does Jamie know? Oh, that's my brother. I will mention his name, but you'll probably shoot me for this. Yes. Does he know? Yes. And I said, oh, okay. Well, it turns out the whole congregation knows. I'm the last to know. Nice. So I said, okay. Well, she said, I'm going up to the hospital tomorrow morning, and I'm going to have a sit down with the surgeon and the chap there, and the doctor's going to tell me where we go from here and what they've found. All they've told me is it's lung cancer. So I said, okay, right. So I said, well, can I come with you? Can I take you? No, I've got a lift. And I said, right, who's taking you? Your auntie. I said, right, okay. And she said, she's dropping us off. I said, who's us? Who are you going with? She said, oh, my friend. And she mentioned her name. I said, okay. And Jamie's meeting us there. Okay, well, if he's going, can't I turn up and support you as well? Can I just be there? Nope. Well, this carried on, and I'm thinking, well, okay, I don't know where to go from here. Well, I'm going to stop the video here because I'm going to run out of time, so I'm going to take this on to the next step. So tune in to part 2 to hear the rest of it. So see you in a minute.